Hi, this is Kim.
This is Andy.
We're going to read to you from the Urantia book.
First,
We have 365 Days of Walking the Red Road by Terry Jean.
today, May 17th, we'll hear from Ohiesa, otherwise known as Charles Eastman, a Santee Sioux. He said, "Let the person I serve express his thanks according to his own bringing up and his sense of humor."
Okay,
So respect other people's culture and personality.
No, you didn't finish that.
Oh, wait.
Yeah. And then he lived from 1858 to 1939. Ohiesa, Charles Eastman. Yeah.
Did you know one of the most persistent stereotypes of the Native American Indians relates to teepees? Contrary to popular opinion, the teepee was not home to all Native Americans prior to and following the settlement of the white man. In fact, it was primarily used by the Plains people who needed a sturdy home that could be torn down and packed rather quickly.
Right.
So,
right. But that's like, because the mythology of
Hollywood.
Hollywood, the Old West was popularized most consistent, most, all the time. And so that's why we remember the teepee. But they lived in a lot of different kinds of dwellings, like the log house and the hogans and yurts kind of thing. And they weren't always nomads. Like the Plains Indians were nomads pretty much, but some of them,
Great Lakes Indians.
in the Great Lakes, they were, the woodland peoples were mostly, they were settled people. They had like permanent communities and permanent dwellings. So so there's some misconceptions there, but
thank you, Hollywood. Not everybody lived in teepees.
Yeah, well, so you call the king of Hollywood. Who's the king of I don't know. Who would you call for that?
John Ford did all those westerns.
Oh, really? You know that? Okay. He was like a producer, like that.
He was kind of one of the main western producers, and he liked shooting in the Arizona Canyonlands. So you see the Twin Peaks, the mittens, in a lot of his movies.
Oh yeah, the mitten thing. I know that.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay, Andy likes westerns.
I do.
Yeah. Okay, we'll read
Kim
here.
Likes the Tao.
I like the Tao Te Ching. Yeah, and today we're on chapter 24, Tao Te Ching, translation by Derek Lynn. Okay, you want to go?
Those who are on tiptoes cannot stand.
To stand on tiptoes is to raise oneself above others. This is an effective metaphor for arrogance because we know from everyday experience it is not possible to stand that way for long. Similarly, an arrogant person's facade of superiority cannot last. Okay.
Those who straddle cannot walk.
Right. To straddle is to strike an exaggerated pose, like the legs wide and the, this represents pomposity, a pretentious display of the ego. Just as we cannot walk while standing, so too we cannot make any progress in life when we are too busy projecting a boastful sense of self-importance. Okay, so the Chinese were masters of metaphor. All the stuff is metaphorical and connected in this. It's interesting the way they communicate. Yeah.
Those who flaunt themselves are not clear. Those who presume themselves are not distinguished. Those who praise themselves have no merit. Those who boast about themselves do not last. Those with the Tao call such things leftover food or tumors. They despise them. Thus, those who possess the Tao do not engage in them.
Right. So how much of the Tao Te Ching is counseling us to be humble, humble and simple, humble and simple, okay, and authentic. Be
Mhm.
authentically yourself. Yeah. So that's over and over again. I'm hearing that in a common fallacy in the philosophical study of the Tao is the idea that because everything is relative and the Tao encompasses all, there are no good or bad things in the Tao. Okay, right. So everything is permissible. That's that philosophy. That's where we go to when we hear about this. Oh, the yin or the is part of the whole thing, and but that's not really it. This chapter points out that true Tao cultivators regard arrogance as useless, harmful, and despicable. Although it is no less a part of the Tao than any other human trait. Arrogance simply isn't something that can uplift and inspire most of us. Yeah, it's not something that you want to be. It's not that it's bad, it's just part of something that we have to grow past in order to gain our true selves, right?
Mhm.
Right. So are things that are they're not really um yeah, I don't know, it's just useless. I don't like to say things are good or bad. It's like some things are useful in a certain context and some things are not.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
And most and it's usually what we see a lot around us. What's in abundance is something that we don't need while we go forward. Like we see our culture here in America is about everybody trying to outshine their um, neighbors or their competitors, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so everybody's doing that. That makes that useless. Okay,
Mhm.
right? So it usually has something to do with look at what characteristics are in abundance and try to balance that out that by being the opposite that usually works pretty well.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah, I would agree with that.
and on the other hand, say you have a society where nobody is wants to everybody is just humble and gracious and nobody wants okay there's no way for that society to develop. If something happens, like nobody's going to want to take charge because nobody's going to want to stick out. So at that point, right,
Mhm.
sticking out and saying, hey, I'm going to be the leader, I know what to do with this situation, that's going to be highly valuable at that point,
Mhm.
especially if you're facing some kind of crisis like a food shortage or a drought or you know some kind of natural disaster which is inevitable, which you know,
Mhm.
right, because there's no progress when everybody's like that,
Right.
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 So it's about context, right? That's the important thing to remember. Not it's like a free for all. Anybody can do anything they want. It's what we look at what's needed within any specific context, and we try to fill that. Okay,
Mhm.
that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Okay, moving on.
To the Urantia book, we're in paper 45, section
And
7.
we're finishing paper 45 today.
The
Melchizedek
Melchizedek
Schools.
Schools.
And in our group, we were reading a little bit about this yesterday in an earlier paper. This is more detailed information about these Melchizedek schools, and there's so much. It's exciting to me because I like to learn stuff, and there's so much to know.
Mhm.
There's so much. It's
So much.
exciting, yeah. And you know what? We'll have. I'm thinking all that knowledge isn't going to fit in my little brain. Well, I don't have to worry about my little brain because I won't have. I'll have access to some other kind of like storage. It's like the cloud, right? We're talking about the cloud, that when you save things on the cloud and the internet and stuff like that, it's like imagine having access to that all the time.
Mhm. I learned yesterday that one of the Melchizedeks actually um, incarnated here and was a associate of Abraham in the
Yeah.
Old Testament.
Yes, they talk more about him. Nakaventa Melchizedek.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. The Melchizedeks are the directors of that large corps of instructors, partially spiritualized will creatures and others who function so acceptably on Jerusalem and its associated worlds, but especially on the seven mansion worlds. These are the detention planets, where those mortals who fail to achieve fusion with their indwelling adjusters during the life in the flesh are rehabilitated in transient form to receive further help and to enjoy extended opportunity for continuing their strivings for spiritual attainment. Those very efforts which were prematurely interrupted by death, or if for any other reason of hereditary handicap, unfavorable environment, or conspiracy of circumstances, this soul attainment was not completed, no matter what the reason, all who are true of purpose and worthy in spirit find themselves as themselves present on the continuing planets, where they must learn to master the essentials of the eternal career, to possess themselves of traits which they could not or did not acquire during the lifetime in the flesh. So it says these are, okay, this sounds like a punishment because it says these are the detention planets.
Mhm.
So the mortals who fail to achieve fusion with their indwelling adjuster during the flesh life. Okay, that's just about everybody. It will say it takes really an extraordinary person, and I think that's like this phenomenon of spontaneous combustion. I think that's what that is. You've heard of spontaneous combustion.
Mhm.
Somebody goes like up in flames, and all that's left of
Mhm.
them are their shoes,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
I think that's what that is. I don't know. That's probably what that is. But just about everybody else here has to spend time on detention planets. Okay, but these are also called, I think, the mansion worlds.
Hmm.
So this is where we make up for experiences that we haven't had in life.
Like for some being a parent.
For some, being a parent is a crucial one.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah. So, or just being loved, or being able to give love or share love,
Mhm.
or being able to, I don't know, appreciate nature, or to discipline yourself in some way, um, to experience healing. Because so many people die in just abject poverty and misery. I mean, all the time.
Mhm.
And there has to be allowances for these people to learn what they need to know in order to carry on,
Mhm.
to go forward in the ascension process, because they're not at fault, you know.
Right.
Okay, so that's really what this is. It's not really a punishment, right?
No, it's a place you go to be healed.
To be healed.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
very good. Okay, the brilliant evening stars and their unnamed coordinates frequently serve as teachers in the various educational enterprises of the universe, including those sponsored by the Melchizedeks. Also, do the Trinity Teacher Sons collaborate, and they impart the touches of paradise perfection to these progressive training schools. But all these activities are not exclusively devoted to the advancement of ascending mortals. Many are equally occupied with the progressive training of the native spirit personalities of Nebadon. Okay, so the students are mixed in with native spirit personalities, you know, midwayers and such,
Hmm.
that have to learn too.
A lot of training going on there.
The Melchizedek sons conduct upward of 30 different educational centers on Jerusalem. These training schools begin with the College of Self-Evaluation and end with the schools of Jerusalem citizenship, wherein the material sons and daughters join with the Melchizedeks and others in their supreme effort to qualify the mortal survivors for the assumption of the high responsibilities of representative government. The entire universe is organized and administered on the representative plan. Representative government is the divine ideal of self government among non perfect beings. Right. So that's like democracy. That's like a representative democracy, right?
Mhm.
The entire universe is organized and administered on the representative plan. Okay?
Not on the authoritarian.
No,
plan?
not on the authoritarian plan.
Oh, okay. Important safety point.
Yeah. Every 100 years of universe time, each system selects its 10 representatives to sit in the constellation legislature. They are chosen by the Jerusalem Council of 1,000. Yep, they're chosen by the Jerusalem Council of 1,000, an elective body charged with the duty of representing the system groups in all such delegated appointive matters. All representatives or other delegates are selected by the Council of 1,000 electors, and they must be graduates of the highest school of the Melchizedek College of Administration, as also are all of those who constitute this group of 1,000 electors. This school is fostered by the Melchizedeks, latterly assisted by the Finalitors. Okay, do you want to go?
There are many elective bodies on Jerusalem, and they are voted into authority from time to time by three orders of citizenship: the material sons and daughters, the seraphim and their associates, including midway creatures, and the ascending mortals. To receive nomination for representative honor, a candidate must have gained requisite recognition from the Melchizedek Schools of Administration. Suffrage is universal on Jerusalem among these three groups of citizenship, but the vote is differentially cast in accordance with the recognized and duly registered personal
Possession
possession of
of
Mota
Mota.
Urantia wisdom.
This very interesting term here, Mota. It's like you have to have this morals. It's like there's a part of this on Urantia Mota, um, which it comes off as kind of cheesy, kind of like, well, yeah, everybody knows that, but I think, how are you able to actually use this standard of being in your daily life? Okay, so it's recognized that if you have possession of these mota, which are like standards of morality, okay, then probably your vote would count, would be weighted in that way. That's what I'm assuming.
Okay.
So people, it's suffrage is universal, but if you have fewer mota, then your vote counts for less, is what I'm saying. Do you think that's fair?
I would say it's the other way. If you have strong Mota, your vote would count for
More. Have weighted more. I think that's what that means.
the vote cast at a Jerusalem election by any one personality has a value ranging from 1 up to 1,000. Jerusalem citizens are thus classified in accordance with their Mota achievement.
Right.
What you said.
Right. So we can look up here if you want, to find where that the Mota is. The Mota is, and this is kind of an important thing. But again, the standard comes not, it's like you look at these things and they're like those inevitabilities. They say, oh yeah, that's right, yeah. But how are you able, when it comes down to it, are you able to employ that standard in your life?
Mhm.
Mota. Okay. 48.7. Let's look at that just quick. We have time here because we don't have to go anywhere today.
No.
This is like never happens.
I know.
Oh, 48. Yeah, okay. So Urantia Mota. So there it is. Okay, on section 7, paper 48. So we'll be coming up to these here.
Mhm.
So these are all kind of like I said, if you want to look at those later,
Mhm.
okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
So it's how, I don't know, it's hard to explain because some of them here, I'm just looking at this short one, number 9. Action achieves strength, moderation eventuates in charm. So I can say, yeah, sure. Okay, but how do I employ that? What do I do? How do I know when is the right time to act and stuff like that?
Mhm.
Only a poet can discern poetry in the commonplace prose of routine existence. Okay, so that's like, and again, I think there's a great deal lost in translation from whatever language whatever understanding they have, to whatever we have here. So these things, they don't impress me as standards that would be measurable.
Mhm.
Okay, right? So
Right.
it's hard to know how they're going to actually use them,
Mhm.
which again lends me to think that this is not written by humans, because humans would that would occur to them. Okay, I have to make
Mhm.
these are the standards which I'm judging how much your vote is worth, how much your voice is worth in the government. Okay, don't I have to make these like clear, measurable things, otherwise to be taken seriously? So no person didn't write this. See what I
Mhm.
mean?
Mhm. Right.
Okay, but you go. That's enough going
From
off on that.
time to time, Jerusalem citizens present
Okay, where
themselves
are you at?
down here.
No, I think oh, did I go all the way here?
Yeah.
I did?
Well,
Oh,
I
you did.
was
You were
reading. I
reading
was
that. Okay,
reading.
you're there. Okay, that's right. Just right.
Jerusalem citizens present themselves to the Melchizedek examiners who certify to their attainment of Urantia wisdom.
Okay.
Then they go before the examining corps of the brilliant evening stars, or their designates, who ascertain the degree of spirit insight. Next, they appear in the presence of the 24 counselors and their associates, who pass upon their status of experiential attainment of socialization. These 3 factors are then carried to the citizenship registrars, a representative government, who quickly compute the MOTA status and assign suffrage qualifications in accordance therewith.
Now imagine who would like this is you have to go through all this, be examined by these boards here, so you can vote.
Mm.
What if we had that here? You have to be
Wow.
like, in order to vote, you have to go in front of this board of, the brilliant evening stars and their designates, and then they have to go in front of the 20 counselors and their associates, and you have to be examined by them, and then according to this, and all this stuff, and then you have to get your little card and take it over to these next examiners to tell how much your vote is worth.
Mhm.
Okay, people, what if they had to do that? Nobody would vote. We could implement this system that would guarantee complete dictatorship.
Mhm. Because as some political people say, well, we don't want everybody voting. Some people are too dumb to vote.
Well, and this isn't ignoring that kind of factor.
Mhm.
Okay, because there is that factor. That's why your vote is weighted here.
Mhm.
So your you know yeah, so your input is weighted. So I wonder, are there people there who decide not to vote?
Hmm.
Or is that like mandatory? I don't know. Anyways, interesting. Okay.
Under the supervision of the Melchizedeks, the ascending mortals, especially those who are tardy in their personality unification on the new Urantia levels, are taken in hand by the material sons and are given intensive training designed to rectify such deficiencies. No ascending mortal leaves the system headquarters for the more extensive and varied socialization career of the constellation until these material sons certify to the achievement of motive personality, an individuality combining the completed mortal existence in experiential association with the budding Morantia career, both being duly blended by the spiritual over-control of the thought adjuster.
Presented by Melchizedek of temporary assignment on Urantia. Okay, so you remember this is a huge process, but at any point, someone can opt out of this process and say, I just don't want to do it. At which point, you're shown a lot of mercy, but eventually it's either, you got to come along and do the program, or you're just not, but this takes millennia, and how long for people to decide about it. But I don't know, there are people who and I want everybody to be saved. I want everybody to come, because if someone doesn't come, then we're losing the richness of what that soul has to offer us. Yeah. So everybody has riches within themselves, and experience. We're losing that, but we can't force people to come along. So it is. I think about that a lot. I think most people are just like, well, heaven is only for the good people. We're going to keep the bad people out, and that's good. And I'm like, I always think, yeah, but isn't there some way to have the turn the bad people to good? And there's got to be some way so that they can come. But if they don't want to, they don't want to. And I've been brought really that realization is coming more and more to me. So
anyway.
Anyway.
I read the detail in this.
Yeah.
It's more and more clear that no human
No
mind
human could have come up with. Are you freaking kidding me? No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll leave it there.
Okay.
Next time, paper 46. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Love ya.
Love you. Have a great day.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.